AI can already write code better than 80% of junior developers. Not better sometimes, better, consistently, faster. 41% of all code shipped in 2025 was AI generated. That number will cross 50% by the end of this year. And junior developer employment has already dropped nearly 20% from its 2022 peak. So here's the question nobody in the AI won't replace developers crowd is answering honestly. If AI can do the coding, what exactly are you for? There is one technical skill that separates the developers who will thrive from those who won't. It's not knowing more frameworks, it's not being faster at prompting, and it has nothing to do with years of experience. And in the next 9 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what it is and why AI is structurally incapable of developing it. I learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I shipped a feature I was genuinely proud of. Clean architecture, fast, every test green. And within 2 weeks, support tickets started coming in. Users were completing the wrong action, not because the flow was broken, but because the UI made perfect sense to someone who had been staring at the problem for 2 months. It made no sense to someone who encountered it once, under pressure, trying to do something else at the same time. The code was right. My model of the user was completely wrong. And no AI reviewer, no linter, no test suite would have caught it. Only the human on the other side of the screen, confused, frustrated, doing their best, could tell me I had failed. Here's how AI thinks about software. You give it a problem. Build a payment confirmation screen. It builds the best possible payment confirmation screen. Clean code, accessible, fast. It will score well on every technical metric you can measure. Now here's what AI didn't ask. Who is using the screen? What state are they in when they see it? Is it someone making a one-time payment? Calm, deliberate? Or is it a nurse at 2 a.m. logging treatments in a hospital system, running on 4 hours of sleep, under pressure to document before the next patient arrives? Those are not the same user. They do not need the same interface. The same technically perfect code will perform completely differently in those two contexts. And this is not a hypothetical. In 2025, the CodeRabbit State of Code Generation report found that AI-generated code produces 1.7 times more issues than human-written code. Not fewer, more. Incidents per pull request actually increased 23.5%, even while developer productivity went up. Why? Because AI optimizes for the compiler. It makes code that runs. It does not make code that works, where works means functions correctly when a real human being in a specific emotional and cognitive state interacts with it under real-world conditions. This is the gap. And it's not getting smaller as AI improves. It's actually getting wider, because the more AI handles routine code generation, the more the remaining value migrates entirely into human judgment territory. Let me show you what I mean with a case that actually happened. In 2020, Robinhood was the fastest-growing trading platform in the United States. Technically, the app was exceptional. Clean UI, fast, modern architecture. The code did exactly what it was designed to do. A 20-year-old student named Alex Kearns opened the app, saw a negative cash balance of $730,000 displayed in his account, without enough context to understand it was a temporary, unrealized number from an options trade, not a real debt, and took his own life. The code was correct, the display logic was technically accurate, but nobody had asked the critical question. What does a user do when they see a number that terrifies them without the context to understand what it means? When people encounter financial fear, real or perceived, they don't behave rationally. They panic, they miss context, they miss the fine print. If your UI shows critical information the same way regardless of the user's emotional state and financial literacy, you have not built a good system. You've built a technically correct disaster. AI has no model of that. None. It has no nervous system. It has never felt the cortisol spike that comes with watching a number that looks like financial ruin. It cannot simulate what it has never experienced. Here's the reframe I want you to internalize. Your job is no longer to write syntax. That's a commodity. AI does it faster and cheaper than you can, and that's not going to change. Your job, the job that pays 6 figures and is actually growing in demand, is to be a translator between human chaos and system logic. Let me unpack that. Every software system starts with a human problem, and human problems are fundamentally ambiguous. Stakeholders don't know what they want, they know what they're feeling. They say, I want users to be able to do X, but what they mean is, I'm anxious that users will leave if they can't do X quickly enough. They say, we need better performance, but what they mean is, I got embarrassed in a demo last week. AI cannot read that. It takes inputs literally. It gives you what you asked for, not what you needed. Experienced developers don't just hear the words, they translate them. And that translation process, understanding the human fear, frustration, or goal underneath the technical request, that is where the real decision-making happens. This is what I call decision architecture based on psychology, and it operates on 3 specific dimensions where AI is structurally blind, and where each dimension reveals a deeper failure than the last. Dimension 1, cognitive load versus CPU load. When an AI designs an interface, it optimizes for CPU efficiency, fewer API calls, faster render times, minimal memory usage. These are measurable, and AI is excellent at optimizing them. But there's another kind of load that doesn't show up in any benchmark: cognitive load. Cognitive load is the mental effort a user must exert to operate a system, and research in UX consistently shows that users will abandon a technically superior system for a slower one if the slower one feels less demanding. The user doesn't experience your code, they experience their own confusion. And confusion is not a technical problem, it's a psychological one. Every unnecessary field, every extra step, every moment where the user has to stop and think, wait, what am I supposed to do here? That is a failure, not of performance, of empathy. But fixing cognitive load alone is not enough, because even when users understand what to do, they still don't do it correctly, and that exposes the next gap. Dimension 2, human error resilience versus server error resilience. AI-generated code is, by default, designed to handle server failures, 404 errors, timeouts, race conditions. It follows established error handling patterns from its training data. What it doesn't handle is the most common failure mode in production systems: human error. Users misread instructions. They click the wrong button because they're distracted. They submit a form with incomplete data, not because they don't know better, but because their baby started crying and they just needed to finish. They'll do the opposite of what your documentation says because they're working on 3 hours of sleep and just guessing. A system resilient to human error is fundamentally different from a system resilient to server error. It requires designing for how people actually behave, not how they should behave according to specifications. And the only way to design for that is to understand human psychology. Not to have read about it, to have been a human being who uses software under pressure. Therefore, once you accept that humans will always deviate from the intended path, you face an even harder problem. You can't just account for errors, you have to decide proactively what each user should even see in the first place. Dimension 3, context architecture. This is the one that separates the good developers from the irreplaceable ones. Context architecture is the ability to understand what information a user needs at each specific moment in their workflow and to surface exactly that, nothing more. AI left to its own devices gives users everything. Because completeness is safe. I gave you all the data is a defensible position. I decided what information was relevant to you at this moment and hid the rest requires judgment. That judgment is not in any training data set. It's not a pattern that can be learned from code repositories. It comes from understanding the user's goal, their cognitive state, the organizational context they're operating in, and what decision they're about to make. In 2025, InfoQ's Architecture Trends Report confirmed this shift. The most effective architects are becoming facilitators of decision-making, not just technical designers. The role is moving from someone who decides the architecture to someone who understands enough about people and systems to structure the right conversation about what the architecture should be. That is a deeply human skill, and the market knows it. So, you now understand the problem AI has. You understand the 3 dimensions where human judgment is irreplaceable. And this brings us back to the question I opened with. If AI can do the coding, what are you for? Here's the answer the market is already acting on. Technical architects represent 1% of the global tech talent pool. In 2026, demand for that role is growing at 27%, while supply grows at only 4%. That is the widest gap of any role in the industry right now. The market is not confused about this. The market is trying to pay for someone who can do exactly what we just described, and it cannot find them. Which means the question is no longer abstract. The question that remains is the only one that matters. How do you actually build this skill? I'm going to give you 3 specific behavioral shifts. Not frameworks to memorize, not a list of books to read. Concrete changes to how you approach your work, starting today. Shift 1. Stop asking, how do I code this? Start asking, what behavioral problem am I solving? These are not the same question. The first one, AI can answer completely. The second one requires you to understand why people tune out information, notification fatigue, habituation, the difference between ambient awareness and actionable alerts. Every feature request that lands on your desk is actually a behavioral hypothesis. Someone believes that if users can do X, they will do Y. Your job is to interrogate that hypothesis before you write a single line of code. Ask, what behavior are we expecting this to change? Under what conditions does that behavior occur? What gets in the way? When you start working this way, you will catch, before production, before sprint cycles, before the code review, the features that are technically buildable but behaviorally wrong. That is judgment, and judgment cannot be prompted. Shift 2. Design for the edge case human, not the ideal user. Most system design happens with a fictional character in mind, the ideal user, patient, attentive, operating the software exactly as intended. Real users are tired. They're multitasking. They're operating your software while simultaneously managing a conversation, fighting a deadline, or worried about something completely unrelated to your feature. The edge case human is not an outlier. The edge case human is your user on most days. When you design for them, when you ask, what does this look like if the person using it is running on 3 hours of sleep and under deadline pressure, you catch failure modes that no amount of unit testing will surface. This is not soft. This is not UX's job. This is engineering judgment, and it is expensive to fix after the fact. I want to stop for a second, because the first 2 shifts are things I can teach you abstractly, but this one, I need you to actually feel it, not just understand it. Think about the last thing you shipped that used AI-generated code. Did you read it? Really read it the way you would read code you wrote yourself? Or did you check that it ran, check that the tests passed, and merge it? Be honest. Here are the numbers. AI code has 1.64 times more maintainability issues than human-written code, 1.57 times more security vulnerabilities, 3 times the readability problems, and incidents per pull request increased 23.5% in 2025, even as developer productivity went up 20%. That gap between the code runs and the code works is the gap where your judgment lives. I've been there too. There's a specific kind of confidence that comes from seeing a clean output and green tests. It feels like you've done the job, and sometimes you have. But sometimes, the times that matter, the code is technically right and humanly wrong, and no test suite catches that. You have to catch it, with the same part of your brain that remembered the Robinhood story from 10 minutes ago, the part that models other people. Your value in the AI era is not to generate better code than the model. You will not win that race. Your value is the judgment to look at what the model generated and say, this solves the stated problem, but it adds complexity we don't need. It creates a cognitive load pattern we can't afford. It will work fine for the average case and break down completely in the case that actually matters. That is curation. That is editorial judgment applied to systems. And curation is something AI fundamentally cannot do for its own output because it has no cost function for complexity that is felt rather than measured. The developers who will thrive in the next decade are not the ones who use AI the most. They're the ones who use it to do 80% of the work and then apply irreplaceable human judgment to the 20% that determines whether the system actually serves the people who use it. Code is cheap. Judgment is expensive. Let me bring this back to the question I opened with. If AI can do the coding, what are you for? You are for the things AI cannot do because it has no nervous system. You know what it feels like to be confused by software. You know what it feels like to be under pressure and make a bad decision because the interface didn't protect you from yourself. You know what it means for a system to feel trustworthy, not just be secure, but feel safe to use. That knowledge is not in any training dataset. It is lived experience, translated into technical decisions, and it is the only thing in software development that is genuinely, structurally irreplaceable. If you are coding by inertia, generating output, checking that it runs, shipping it, AI already beat you. Not in the future, now. But if you are designing systems that understand people, if you are making decisions based on how humans actually think, behave, and fail, under pressure, under fatigue, under the full weight of being a human being and trying to accomplish something with a piece of software you built, then you are the most valuable professional in this market. That is the 100K skill. Not because it pays a specific salary, though the data shows it does, and then some, but because it is the one skill with a widening gap between demand and supply, at a moment when AI is commoditizing everything else. The market is not waiting for you to figure this out. It already knows what it needs. The question is whether you'll develop it in time. Now, if you want to put this into practice immediately, the next video breaks down the exact system I use for AI-assisted development. Not vibe coding, not prompting and hoping. A structured workflow that builds this judgment into every step. It's right there. Watch it next.